It's ZynVaded week on the Game Room from the fantastic independent game maker We Have Issues Publishing. Like, subscribe, and comment all week for your chance to win the choice of a 2-player starter box or the new Don't Let the Zed-Bugz Bite starter box. You'll also get your choice of 2 Mercs models when the Kickstarter ships. The winner will be chosen from the YouTube comments on this week's videos, so get those comments in for your chance to win. It's ZynVaded week on the Game Room.
Welcome to the game. Tell us about this Kickstarter that's going on right now.
All right. Well, so what we're doing is we're running a Kickstarter for Don't Let the Zed-Bugz Bite. It's kind of a standalone expansion in that you can use it as its own game, or you can use elements from it in ZynVaded Evo, the main game itself. It's a survival horror-ish type of game, as survival horror as a Saturday morning cartoon gets, really.
Right.
So in it, you can play the part of a hunter, which is a single Zyn figure, Terra figure, whatever. In it, there's a couple of Zyn hunters. And then it comes with some Zed-Bugz and some Zed-Grubs. And what it is you're tasked with going into zones that are infected. You go in there and you're looking to rescue data. You're looking to rescue uninfected figures like other members of the Zyn or the Terra. Or just going in to sweep the area out, clear it out. And so you go in as a hunter, and your goal is to get the objective taken care of. And you're constantly dealing with ambushes and pop-ups from these different little critters. And they're run by an AI. So you can play by yourself. You don't have to have a second player if you don't have one available. It's always more fun, obviously, if you have more players.
Right.
But you could definitely solo this one. Because what they do is the Zeds themselves, the Zed-Bugz and the Zed-Grubs, is they're going off of what we call BP range, which is your body points. It's how healthy you are. The healthier your figure, the more they radiate out and draw the Zed-Bugz in. And so if your Zeds right now, they move on a wandering kind of setup. You roll a D10, whatever direction the top of the D10 is pointing, that's the direction they move. If they get within X range, your body point range, they detect and they move immediately towards your character with the intent of attacking.
Right.
And so that allows you to play solo. And you can use, for hunters, you can use the hunters that come in the game, or you can use any single Zyn figure that you currently own already as its own hunter. So you don't have to use the figures in the game. You can use a different one if you'd like to.
So any of my existing models can be the hunter.
Exactly.
Don't have to have the specific hunter models.
Exactly.
Cool.
You want to pop the Sergeant in there, you can pop the Sergeant. You want to put Captain's America in there, you can put Captain's America in there.
Very cool. So you tell the viewers about the playtest story. You had a husband and wife team. And
okay, so yeah, when we first released the first version of Don't Let the Zed-Bugz Bite, back when we still had the one-piece models, we were doing playtest, like a playtest deal at a local convention, and we had a husband and wife that were going in there. They each had their own hunters, and the game is cooperative, but it can also be antagonistic. You're looking to meet the objectives, and if a buddy of yours is in your way, you got to make that decision. So the husband took one of the throwing nails that the character has, threw it at his wife, and stuck her to the floor amongst a crowd of oncoming Zed-Bugz and Zed-Grubs, and then he tossed his crybaby decoy right in front of her. And so what that's a piece of equipment that you can equip your figure with, whether it's a hunter or whether it's one of your other guys. It's a piece of equipment it's a grenade. You toss it out, and a little inflatable dude pops up, like those little punch bag. Remember those little inflatable punch bags with the sand at the bottom that would like bounce back up, almost like a Weeble, if you remember what a Weeble is. So it pops up and it basically pumps out a body point radius that's greater than anybody around it, typically. And so the Zeds all lock in on that. And once they get in close, of course, then there she is, stuck to the floor, trying to get loose. And then he grabbed the objective and hauled. And I'm not sure how the ride home went after that, but they all had a blast with it. And so that's another fun element. You don't have to be cooperative. You can make alliances if you want to, but the more players you have, the more chaos can happen with it. So because everybody's kind of doing their own thing, and they might tell you, oh yeah, no, let's buddy up for this, and then if the opportunity presents, they might bail on you.
That's awesome. So the Kickstarter, we're about almost 3 weeks in on the new Kickstarter, and
I don't know.
2 weeks.
I'd say we're about the halfway point, I think, because we did 30 days, and I think we're about 15 or 16. So we're about we're about 2 weeks.
So you have funded.
Yep.
You've unlocked a bunch of stretch goals.
Yes.
What do you see as like coming next as the funding continues?
Well, right now I'm looking at the different figures that we've got that are getting scanned, because what we're doing, the primary idea with this was to fund getting the game made, us being able to get the containers, the stickers, the dice, the pencils, that sort of thing. And then getting the cost of basically we're getting the figures, all the figures that we have in our catalog digitally scanned, because again, not being able to do a lot physically, we're having to look out at other means of production. And so having them digital opens up so many more avenues. When we start ramping up hardcore production, we'll be able to send digital masters off for molds to be made. And so that's kind of what we're using this Kickstarter for. In addition to funding the game, that's what the stretch goals are. They're unlocking figures for add-on, as well as some that we've thrown in for, like, we did a free upgrade. So now instead of 2 same Hunters, you're getting, and one of the stretch goals was you get an alternate sculpt Hunter. So instead of just the one, you have 2 different ones now. Same basic deal. It's still a shotgunner, but it's going to be a different looking one, a different pose, which is always nice. I appreciate the different pose stuff. So
great. And I thought that was really cool in the starter box that all 6 models were different. You had your 2 sergeants, your 2 support, your 2 scouts, but they were all different.
Well, exactly. We didn't want to put the same ones in, because, like, my group and I, we really appreciate having varied sculpts to it. And being that it's not a mass combat game, it's really easy to do that. You don't need to worry about doubling up on sculpts or tripling up or stuff like that. So, so for like I said, so I know I wish we could do more free stuff, but of course, being such a small company, we really can't do a lot of that. So a lot of the stretch goals have been unlocked for add-ons, with the figures getting scanned in and stuff like that. But we have done, like I said, the free alternate sculpt. We're doing some free objective markers / supply tokens, which would be great, because the supply tokens, we have had those before. They're basically these 3 little barrels that you'll set out onto the battlefield randomly. There's a random deployment for those. And then you go up to it and you roll a D10, and depending on what you roll is what you get. You'll find, extra ammo, a med kit, like a speed boost. Or if you roll badly, you'll get the machine gun pop out of it. It's basically a booby trap deal. And on the start of the next turn phase, it starts shooting at whatever's closest to it. Everything within its range, it takes a shot at. And then once you open a barrel, you redeploy it again at another location using the stray rules, which are explained in the rule book. So you can keep using them as often as you want. You can keep dropping them down if you want to. And what's fun now is, because we've got some help added onto our team now, doing some great editorial work for us, editing our rule book, and helping to add into the playability of the game. Now we're going to be doing like an advanced rule set where you're going to be able to actually find different guns, different blades, different equipment, different weapons, using a card-based system we're hopefully going to be unlocking. So, and even if we don't unlock it, we're probably going to still enact it at some point anyway, just because it's just too cool not to.
Very awesome.
So yeah, so we are looking, that's the other thing. One of our stretch goals coming up will be to unlock, initially for a digital download, will be to initially unlock cards. So you'll have like a tarot card sized card for the characters themselves. And then you'll have like the smaller cards will be like the guns, the equipment, and ththings like that. So, and then each figure will have a starting gun if you're playing a standard game, or there'll be a chance for you to just like free for all. It'll almost be like Fortnite. You'll drop them into an area, your team will drop in, and they'll have to forage for stuff. You know, they'll maybe come in with a pistol and a knife, but they'll need to forage for better weaponry and better equipment.
Yeah. So as you so stealthily mentioned those cards that we have no idea who came up with these things.
Well, we've had other people coming to us with the card thing, and we just haven't been able to afford to go into it because, you know, I appreciate, you know, the fans wanting to help contribute, but, you know, until we're at a point where we can really put something into it, we've been kind of hesitant about it, and being that this element here, it's also adding in so many more, like the loose weapon cards and all that stuff. We kind of figured now is probably a pretty good time to start really looking into that, and especially since it seems like people really like the idea of it.
Yeah. So what else? I don't know what else to ask you about this. Like I said, I don't generally work with a script at all, but I did want to talk to you about it. So what else?
So for the Don't Let the Zed-Bugz Bite, we've already unlocked the Zed-Bugz Necromancer,
yep,
the Zed-Bugz Grubadier, and the Zed-Bugz Berserker, and we're moving toward the Grubhemoth, which is another Zed-Bugz character, which is a massive grub, massive Zed grub that'll be coming out, and that'll be a free upgrade add-on to the Kickstarter expansion. We're still looking at the numbers. Hopefully, we can add it into the retail version. Otherwise, it'll be an add-on figure you can get outside of it. But these characters all add in with your Zed-Bugz and your Zed-Grubs that come in the starter, and you can actually build a faction team for ZynVaded. So they'll be their own fourth faction for ZynVaded itself. So you'll be able to have like games of ZynVaded, and if you like the zombie bugs, baby, bring them. You'll have a Necromancer for a leader. You can add either the Grubadier or the Berserker for your support, and then you can have a group of Zed-Bugz, a group of Zed-Grubs, or there'll be blends of mix. You'll be able to take a couple of each type of thing as your scout choice, your single scout choice. So the mindless stuff will basically be a wad of them for a scout choice, and the more sentient, crazy stuff is going to be its own thing as a support and as your leader. And what we're looking at doing is actually making it so that, like, if you have players that have mercs and stuff like that, if you don't want to take a merc as a Zed, because some mercs aren't going to work with, like Amos the Hunter will not work for Zed-Bugz.
Right.
But the Zed-Bugz will be able to take, like, if they say you take your Grubadier as your support choice, we're looking at allowing for you to take your Berserker as a merc's choice for your team. So that way you can theme your team better.
Very cool. So I have asked everything that I had thought to ask. John, is there before we sign off, is there anything else you want to let us know? The Kickstarter is going on until right at Christmas 2021, give or take a day.
Yeah, basically it ends the 26th, so it ends the day after Christmas.
It is funny. Oh, I did have another question. With getting stuff scanned in digitally, is there thought to actually doing 3D printing or releasing the STLs?
There is. We're trying to find an angle on that right now. We're trying to find a good marketplace for it. And we're just trying to make sure that we're covering as much as we can, like legally and stuff like that with our stuff, so that we're protected. So we are looking at that, because I know we have had some questions from some overseas folks that would love to have a print and play option. And we would love to be able to do that too. Honestly, it'd make things so much easier for people. I think it'd be great for them to have that option. So we are looking at it. I don't know what the outcome is going to be of that. I'm hoping we can get something figured out before the end of the campaign. Okay. But that may be something that comes later on, unfortunately. So
very cool. Yeah.
The only other thing I had
to go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say the only other thing I had that I wanted to add on is We do have some interesting stretch goals coming up again. This next one, we just unlocked Z800. I still have to update the stretch goals banner. So we have unlocked Z800 for purchase. The next big goal is we have the add-on, the free add-on for the Grub Hemoth. Now there is an update that posts pictures so you can see size comparison. It's actually about the size of a standard Zyn figure. It's a pretty massive grub. And so after that, we're looking at a couple more add-on unlocks. Yeah, so figure a grub almost the size. So between those two, it's just about probably it'll be about to the shoulder of that sergeant. It's gonna be a pretty massive and angry looking little dude. So
that is gonna be a big grub.
But we're looking at some really fun unlocks coming up, some stuff that we haven't had before. Because honestly, I think at this point, we're about at all the stuff that's already released. Now coming up for add-ons is going to be stuff that was sculpted, but didn't make it into rotation before health issues came up. If you look at the add-ons, you'll see that we have a pair of captains. You can buy them single, or you can buy them as a pair for a little cheaper. And those have never been released. Those are new. And then we have a swordsmaster that is also in the add-ons. That's basically a redo. We used to have I want to say there were assassins for Zyn, and then we realized, we doubled up on that. So we changed it to Swordmaster now for the Zyn. And so the Terra have the assassin, the Zyn will have Swordsmasters. We'll have an alternate sculpt for her at some point, hopefully a little bit later, whether it gets unlocked as a stretch goal or whether we just, we'll just be doing it regardless of it, whether we add it as a stretch goal or not. We'll have an alternate for that one at some point down the road here, hopefully soon. But we're going to be adding additional figures you haven't seen: recon trooper, medic, engineers, and then we even have we're looking at doing for a precursor to our next expansion, the Pods of War. We're redoing that game completely, and in that game you got a little grub character that pilots a little mech battle suit basically. So we may look at releasing that toward the end of this campaign, hopefully, as kind of a follow-on to your team. Like somebody will be able to choose that as their hunter if they want, keeping in mind that it's not going to be as proficient as everybody else, but it still should be fun. Otherwise, it can be a tag along to a hunter, depending on the size of the game, like for every X amount of hunters, you can have one tag along that people can share control of. Right. So we're still looking at working that out, because for the Pods of War game, they'll have a controller on the sidelines, a Zyn controller, a Terra controller, whatever, that'll help kind of augment the abilities of the grub. And so you'll be able to take it as a group and kind of share him among the team. So like if you have two hunters going in, bring a grub pod with you, type of thing. So we'll see. Hopefully we can get him unlocked. So that'll be a fun one. And that's a multi-part figure. So that one, the body and all that will be mounted to the base, but you'll have options for adding on the arms. You'll have saw blade arms, claw arms, and then guns to add on. So
are the hunter models that you're coming with the new one, are they multi-part, or are they one piece?
The main shotgunner is one piece. We're looking at the alternate sculpt, possibly doing multi-part, but we've got to see how that's going to work out. So okay. I got to see how the scan ended up going with it. If the scan goes well with it, then we might be able to do a multi-part, which would be nice. Very cool. We'd really like to be able to do a lot more multi-part stuff down the line, but for right now, a lot of our stuff is kind of as it's posed.
Right. So, and even with the existing models, you have a little bit of leeway with them on their post, but they're basically, they're pretty action packed.
Yeah, they're kind of fixed, unfortunately, but yeah.
As you can see, I don't like this game at all. I have 4 complete factions. This game is fantastic. All this week, I will be showing you how I did the different colors on these. Very simple. When I, as we've talked before, when I paint, I paint for a tabletop quality. If it looks good from 3 feet away, then it looks good to me. I'm not a master painter, so anyway, hopefully anybody watching who's got a set or is even interested in picking them up, you'll see that they're not that difficult to paint.
Well, and see the tabletop quality, that's a perfect paint level for them, because like I said, you're kind of looking at a Saturday morning cartoon on your table, man.
Exactly.
I mean, they don't have to have rigid shading and layers of washes and highlights and all that. They're meant to be like a G.I. Joe cartoon brought to life on your tabletop.
And they absolutely are. I've never seen a game cause so many people to just stop and say, "What are you doing? What is that?" We've played through. We played through. This game is playable anywhere, literally.
Yeah.
You can play it on the sheets on your hotel room. You can play it at a restaurant. We played through somebody's BattleTech game one time.
That's awesome.
And it was funny. We were just like, y'all just keep playing, pretend we're not here. Like, what are y'all doing? And as they moved, we had to move our guys out of the way, and we were hiding. And as the Atlas moved out of the way, my scout lost its cover, and now he's out in the open. And with the whole idea, adding into the fluff, anything is the terrain, because it is it is 1-1 scale. This is how big they are. This is how big we are. Play it anywhere. Play it on your coffee table. Play it on your dinner
And I'm
table.
glad you mentioned that, because I know you and I have talked about it, and we've talked with the other play testers about developing advanced rules. Yes. With like interactive terrain elements, so where they'll actually be able to pick up and either throw or move terrain. Yep. They'll be affected by something that moves around them. Like if somebody randomly comes by and grabs a pop bottle off your gaming table that they're playing at, that's going to add an element to it. I mean, we already have a mission where if any figure ends their movement X amount of inches away from cover, they're removed because somebody saw them, swatted them because they thought they were a bug. So yep. your character's gone. So, but we're going to be doing more elements like that. We're going to be adding in just for the more advanced gamers that want a little deeper, a little more meaty game experience. But otherwise, yeah, we're still at our heart. We're still just an intro level game. We love being that. But we are actively working on advanced rules for the more hardcore gamers out there.
And I can't, I mean, as you can see from this is a very small portion of the game room walls. We are heavy gamers. We love the miniatures games, especially. And this is it's a fantastic game. I can't say it enough.
Thank you very much. It really means a lot.
It's very simple. I've taught the game to, like I said, when I ran demos at one of the local stores, I had a mom and a son who've never played a miniatures game before. They were actually there for a Pokemon tournament. Awesome. Sat down, played through it, walked out with a copy of the game. I had a father and a son sit down and play through it, and walked out with a copy of the game. I mean, it's people once they get it and they start playing with it, like, this is fun. It's straightforward. It's easy. It's not nearly as difficult as some of your very heavy games.
And there's just not a lot of buy-in. You don't have to buy a lot of terrain. You don't have to. I mean, it's not a heavy investment initially. You can spend as much money as you want with the accessory figures, because they do add an element of fun, but it's not necessary to get started. It's a nice way to jump in. Yeah. Of course, that's me. Of course, I created it. So of course that sounds braggadocious saying that, of course. But
but it is. I mean, and that's one thing that makes it very easy to sell to both mini gamers or not. It's only 3 models per side. Everything you need is one box. You pay it one time. You don't have to spend $1,000 to build an army that might be competitive depending on who you're playing with. 3 models, you're competitive, because all the models, they've all been, the Terra set and if you're just playing with the starter box, the models are the same, because the original faction, they just split. So your save all or your save them and your kill all, they have the exact same stat lines. So 2-player starter box, you're completely balanced. Not many 2-player starter boxes can claim that. And
which is why we did that, because we wanted people to have a fair shake right out the bat with that. which is why there's alternate scopes so you can tell them apart, so it's not a muddle of nonsense. And we wanted people to have, like I said, we want them to have a fair shake going in so they can get an actual real educated opinion on the game before they buy hard into it. Now, elements of the Terra, they play differently. So you're going to have games where you're going to wipe out your opponent, and you're going to have games where you get wiped out by your opponent. Yeah. And I will say this, the Mercs, we didn't worry about balance so much as we worried about character. We wanted them to be fun. And I know that sounds probably insane, because everybody, I'm sure every company out there's probably cringing right now as I say that, but there's a reason behind it, because it's meant to be a ridiculously fluffy character. Right. And so, especially if you're adding them as a fourth character, it's a ridiculous character to add in, and their abilities and their functions, they're just kind of off the charts with crazy, but they all kind of work as in a crazy scale. And with as much playing as we've done, as much people have come back to tell us about it, they seem to balance enough in regard to, just because you have this character doesn't mean you're going to win.
Right.
Just because you have this character doesn't mean you're going to lose. It's insane. I mean, like I said, I'm not a great one to play test. I get myself whooped on by my own kids when we play. But I found equal success and equal failure with every single figure I've ever rolled with. So, yeah. And our biggest thing is we just want you to have fun.
Yeah.
So.
And with ZynVaded, I have lost games and have had way more fun than in some other games that I've won. It's just because of what it is. If you just use the imagination while you're playing, and you're playing across your toys, your coffee table, and realizing that you're playing with really big bugs and what's happening, it's a total blast.
Well, and we encourage people to do that, to have fun with it. So if you find it like an element, like again, where somebody's moving a water bottle, oh my God, my guy's out in the open now. We want you to be able to homebrew stuff like that too. Right. Whether we cover it in rules or not, have fun with it. If everybody's enjoying themselves, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You want to add the character of the game. As long as you're keeping in the spirit of it, you're there, baby. So.
John, thank you very much for joining us. I really appreciate the time. Hopefully, more and more stretch goals get unlocked. I love the game. I am anxious about the new expansion standalone game on the Kickstarter, and I'm anxious to see what unlocks next.
Well, thank you very much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. It's been great talking to you, and I appreciate all your support and all your help, man. It's been great.
And I appreciate you coming on. Folks, we will continue ZynVaded all of this week. This is going to be the first video that's put out there. We have painting videos. We already have a demo video that's on the channel from 2019, a brief playthrough, and hope you enjoy this week. Continue to watch. As always, please like, subscribe, and leave us comments. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of the models, of what's coming with this Kickstarter. And it's very difficult because cameras are in the wrong spot. My camera's down here at the bottom, yet I'm looking at the top. So I do apologize. It's just the way this laptop is. But as always, thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
Thanks, John.
Bye.